What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Kramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by PingPong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Crossover Commerce. I'm your host, Ryan Kramer, and this is my literal corner of the internet where I bring the best and brightest of the Amazon and e-commerce space. It's good to be back after a 3-week hiatus. It's been the longest break since I've had anyone on the podcast. Change it up again, the scenery a little bit here in my secondary studio, if you will. So don't have the fancy background as you will, but we got some lights, we got the mic. That's all we need, and our guest. If you're new to the podcast or if you're new to checking out Crossover Commerce, what is this thing that you stumbled on? Well, we are a podcast that brings on the best and brightest in the Amazon and e-commerce space. That can mean anything from product sourcing, logistics, ideation of marketing, advertising, PPC, even localization and international expansion, or maybe currency exchange. You've reached the right place. We cover all those topics, and this is episode 228, which means that there's 227 episodes that have existed in the past. Where those are on your favorite podcast destinations, or if you catch us live on social media, you can catch them on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Just subscribe to all of our social media platforms. That's where you catch us all. That's where you catch us live. You can follow me or PingPong Payments, because this podcast is presented by PingPong Payments, helping more than 1 million customers worldwide keep more of their hard-earned money. That means anyone sending or receiving money internationally, that could be paying out your suppliers and manufacturers, paying out agencies in different countries. If you're receiving goods or receiving invoices from different customers worldwide, or just getting your remittance paid out from Amazon or your e-commerce platform, you can get that converted pretty easily and save some money, put it to your bottom line, and save your financial people or yourself some headaches as well. So put some more money back towards things that matter in your business. Don't let fees stack up and eat you alive. Just check out PingPong Payments. It's free to sign up. Just go to usa.pingpongx.com/podcast for all of our past episodes, but also to sign up for free today. That being said, again, if you think that we've been on the podcast, again, I've alluded to earlier in the intro, we have not been on a while. Things have happened. Things like Prosper, a lot of great events. One of the biggest events in the Amazon and e-commerce space happened in Las Vegas a few weeks ago. People are coming back from that, and I have been traveling since then. So it's kind of been a crazy time, but now we're back. We're going to hit our stride again. We have multiple episodes this week. Today, I'm very excited too, because it gets back into what a lot of people have been talking about. We've titled this episode, again, we title every episode something different just to kind of give a context of what we're going to be alluding to and kind of covering today. Actionable tips to limit Amazon PPC cost. Seems great. I personally wouldn't be able to person to answer those questions, but I brought smarter people on here in order to help you figure that out. So without further ado, new to the show, new to the podcast, we missed each other at Prosper. We were talking about this before. He was there less than 48 hours. We were talking beforehand, but I'm excited to be talking to and with him today. His name is Tarik of M19. And without further ado, Tarik, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Crossover Commerce. Thanks, man, for coming on today and for rescheduling. I know we had an initial schedulation, but thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So we were kind of talking a little bit pre-show, Tarik, about where you are, what you do, things like that. For people who haven't heard of you or M19, give me like this background. Like, have you always been in e-commerce? How did we get to where we are today? Kind of give me that little snippet background and personal history of you.
Yeah, great. So I'm Tarik Barada, the CEO of M19. Just in 2 words, M19 is a e-commerce platform that today is operating and all the ads on Amazon, all ad formats. It does automate and optimize using machine learning. So this is what our software is doing. Myself, I've been in the advertising ecosystem, mainly on the R&D side of it, like mainly doing machine learning and the data science on the advertising ecosystem. So I spent, prior to founding M19, I spent 7 years in Criteo. It's It's an Adtech company based here in France. By the way, I'm based in Paris, and the company is here in Paris. So where I worked on retargeting algorithms to optimize retargeting, the same retargeting and remarketing today that is provided in sponsored display on Amazon. So it's Criteo that created that type of advertising. It's the first company to do that. And while I was working there, I was working on the heart of the retargeting, really building these prediction models to optimize the retargeting for all the advertising that were using this Criteo thing. And I was also working on search optimization algorithms that were applied to AdWords. And on Criteo, we were doing retargeting and at the same time optimizing for our customers on AdWords. And this was the beginning of, without me knowing it, the premises and beginning of M19 story. And by the way, it's there where I met most of my co-founders and mainly the CTO Pascal. So we worked on a specific project about search optimization on Google that was stopped in Criteo. And we were kind of frustrated. No, come on, guys, this thing is working. It was really hard to come up with an algorithm that was really doing great, that was beating competition, etc. And they decided to stop the project because of different reasons that are not related to performance. It was bad at the time, but good for us because it created this frustration to go, okay, let's do it by ourselves and let's do it outside Criteo. So yeah, we decided to leave to found our own company to do it because this is something we spent a lot of years working on. And at that time, it was like 3 years ago, Amazon advertising was starting to pick up. So we said,
Sure.
oh, yeah, maybe let's switch
This
from,
Amazon advertising thing it's a pretty
yeah,
big deal, right?
yeah, exactly. It's becoming to be more and more trendy. There was like very few competition on Amazon compared to Google AdWords at that time, and it was already shopping that was existing already at that time. I said, okay, maybe there is a greater opportunity if we do it on Amazon advertising, and this is how M19, how we started, and this is why after less than 3 months, we had already something working, of course a backend without the interface, without the tool, without all the reporting and etc. We had a first version of this optimization machine where I remember we were able to configure manually with coding some optimization for. We had 2 or 3 beta testers, like some sellers that were selling here in France, and after 3 or 4 months, we were able to automate, of course, in a manually configured way, Amazon advertising for sponsored products at that time. So yeah, this is.
What year was this, by the way? Like set the scene. Was this back a few years ago, earlier this year? When were you doing all this?
It was like 3 years ago. It was
Okay,
3
so
years
we're
ago.
talking 2019 or so.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly. Yeah.
so this is
No,
this is prior pandemic, right when
yeah,
PPC is really taking off. A lot of people know that organic placements were really taking on.
yeah,
Were prominent back then, but they were switching over to more paid placements, and that's where the biggest shift has come. I think in the top 21 spots, maybe 3 organic, something crazy like that, where the statistics are. It's all pay to play now, and a lot of people feel like, hey, I have to figure out Amazon PPC. Well, cool, man. So you developed, it sounds like an algorithm where it was almost like machine learning and helping people understand terms and understanding their PPC costs. Would you consider yourself an agency or more of like a software solution? Is it am I correct in that or in hearing
yeah,
everything? Okay.
yeah. Thank you for asking the question. And not everybody is making the distinction between the two. Usually, people are mixing the two. So we are 100% a software company. We are not providing any managed service.
Okay.
We really see ourselves as techies, like geek guys that are developing
Sure.
a hardcore software for optimization. And this is a good thing because we are working with different agencies that are using our software to optimize for their customers. And whenever someone reaches to us that needs a managed service or a help on the strategy side of advertising, we redirect him to one of our partner agencies uh, because it's not our DNA. Our DNA is software and optimization. So we are willing to provide this platform that makes it affordable and easy for non-advanced people to put in place super advanced and expert strategies on Amazon without spending a lot of time. So either you are not an expert and you want to be able to manage as an expert in an advanced way and a guided way, because on M19 you set your advertising strategies based on your ACOS, based on your target margins, based on your inventory level, etc., etc. And we display a lot of information on dashboards in order to ease for you the strategy work to put in place to have the best PPC strategy. And at the same time, this platform should be also designed for agencies that needs kind of more control, but with an automated way to do like this thousands and thousands of actions that needs to be done to guarantee a perfect structure and a perfect bidding that will lead to the optimal that you are looking for in terms of profitability or margin or visibility or ranking or whatever. So this is what we are, a
Gotcha.
simple platform that make it easy for you to describe your PPC strategy in a very time efficient way, and where you can dig and get some control whenever you need it without it being a really 100% black box.
Gotcha. So something where, and this is where the whole thing comes in, is managed PPC services versus almost a automated service. So when you have that conversation, I get, again, I think a lot of people, you have a school of people who are upset about, hey, you can't just rely on software to optimize, because if something goes wrong, you can really outspend yourself, or it can blow a budget or something. It can cost a lot of money. But when you have people at play, again, it could be human error, it could be human costs, it could be not optimized as much as possible. So where's that fine line that you have with people that are saying this is the route to go, instead of having a person or a human sit down at a computer and managing campaigns on a one-off basis?
Yeah. So one main thing is with a good software, an automated style software that is based on machine learning or just rule based or whatever, a good software should make it riskless. Like, there is no risk going through this type of software, but you can miss opportunities. So, of course, if you are really putting in place very bad strategies, if you misconfigure what you want to do with the software, it can lead to very bad results. Sorry, it's my Google.
Google's constantly listening,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
not a big deal.
yeah, he's always listening. So it's like a very good or fancy car. So if you steer it the wrong way, you will blow it up. This is how we see good software for automation and optimization. Uh, Definitely, a software won't replace an agency and won't replace a human that needs to come up with the PPC strategy. A software cannot do this. All people that are talking about AI automation that can replace a human and you can just set it and forget it, I personally don't agree, and they can prove that this is wrong. And even from our records and from our customers, like we have more than like a lot of them, the best ones and the biggest ones, like the 9 digits or 8 digit setters, you can see what they are doing on the platform, and they are not just setting it and forgetting. They are really hands-on, describing the right strategy, making it evolve depending on the demand, depending on the competition, depending on their profit margins, depending on a lot of things. So um, for me, there is no dichotomy between automated or managed. Automated in a super automated way, I don't believe that it exists, a good one. For an advanced PPC management, for me, the best combo is a human brain with a great software to automate this thousand, if not millions, of action to be done, and also to compute the right metrics and the right bids in order to reach the goal you tell the tool to reach. So it's a combination between the two. It's not one or the other.
Gotcha. So that's good. That's a good starting place to understand. Of you need both. You need someone who you can't just set and forget it, but you also need to like learn and kind of point and find those crevices, I would say, if you will. Is there any actionable data that says that, because we're talking about, again, actionable tips to limit Amazon PPC cost today, what we called today's episode. Is it, are you finding more cost savings when you work with a highly intelligent person that kind of has worked with campaigns before and you can kind of find the low hanging fruit? Or is it more of that automation process and the AI process that you kind of bring to the table? Where does a lot of that cost savings really come that you've seen as a software company?
So since my goal here is not to demo the tool or to promote directly the tool, I try to think about some generic concept and tips to reduce Amazon PPC cost. These principles are incorporated in, I would say, all good softwares does incorporate these principle. When you understand these principle and how Amazon advertising is working behind the scene, you can derive from it like dozens of actions to reduce the PPC cost. So let me try to explain and go through the two main principles that will help into reducing PPC cost. The first and biggest one is search term isolation principle. There are already people. It's not something new. People knows about it and talk about it. It's pretty common, but very few people really understand what it is. So search term isolation principle. It's as simple as, first, to understand it, we really need to understand the difference between a search term and a keyword. So as long as it's not clear for you the difference between a search term and the keyword, it will be hard for you to put in place an advanced PPC strategy or reduce the cost of your PPC. This is the first thing. So the keyword is an object, is something that will make you capture search terms from users on Amazon. So it's a kind of PPC object or a PPC vehicle that will help you capture user search term on Amazon. This is very important to understand. When you understand this, you want to put in place a strategy, or you want to create campaigns in order that each search term for a user will be captured at most once with this advertising vehicles that are campaigns or keywords. So let's have an example, and you will understand at the end why this is important for cost optimization. Let's say vegan protein powder as a search term. Someone is looking for vegan protein powder. So this vegan protein powder search term can be captured in your auto campaign. So it will capture, unless you put it as a negative exact, can be captured in protein as phrase, in a phrase keyword protein, can be captured in exact vegan protein powder. So you see, there are a lot of, or even can be captured in a product targeting campaign. So if you set a product targeting campaign where you add one of your main competitors' product that is ranked on vegan protein powder, this search term can be matched through a product targeting campaign and can go through the search placements. So the tricky thing is Amazon is providing a lot of campaign types and matching types that will lead to having a single search term matching a lot of your existing campaigns. When this happens, Amazon will just pick the campaigns, the highest bid campaign from all your existing campaigns, and you will always end up paying the highest price for the same search term. And without having any control, and without knowing, and without explicitly directing a search term to one specific campaign, because it can go through very different, like in the example I gave, 4 different campaigns that might capture it. So when you understand that, you really want to avoid have this overlapping campaigns, and you want to guarantee a search term isolation principle in your campaign structure.
So if I understand correctly, just to be clear for anyone who's listening and making clear on this, if I have multiple campaigns and they semi overlap, for example, like you said, protein powders or vegan protein powders, whatever is whatever you're bidding highest on, Amazon will naturally just point to that one as the optimal one that you're going to be of all the similar ones. It's going to say, well, very similar concept. We want this one to show up more because it's being bid more. But even though the other ones are optimized as well, it would prefer this higher bid one to be
Ex-
showing up faster or more often.
exactly.
Interesting.
And the tricky part here is you don't even get the full search term data. And the one thing that is very, very unknown in the ecosystem is this product targeting campaigns that are leading to search term results. This is very, very tricky. And this is one of the most genius things that Amazon came up with, in my opinion, to increase artificially the PPC cost. Um, the example I gave, when you target one of your competitors, and this competitor is ranked on one of your relevant keywords, you might end up on a search term placement, on a search placement through a campaign, a product targeting campaign. And when it happens, you don't know what is the search term that your ad was displayed on. You just know through which competitor ASIN it went through, and you will just know it in the placement data that you have at campaign level. So this is the most vicious thing, uh, in my opinion, that Amazon came up with to artificially increase PPC cost without even you knowing, or even after getting the data to see what happened at the end of the day. So one tip here, whenever you have, if since our call is also not only to talk about principle but give also very actionable tips, is whenever you have a product targeting campaign, go and artificially decrease all your bids by, let's say, times 5. If you are willing to pay €1, divide all your bids by 5, and just increase the product placement of the campaign, like put a 500%, like to have it times 5 or times 4. So as in your campaign, you will only have product placement, and you won't have this misrouting of search placement through your product targeting. So you will isolate at least search result from product page result, and there will be no overlapping and artificially increasing costs of your search results, um, without getting through which. So all your product targeting campaigns increase artificially the product placement and decrease the overall bids. So as you will have at the end way higher bid on the product placement, and all your product targeting campaigns will end up only showing on product page placement. So this
Wow.
is an easy one to implement.
I love that. That's such a good. You have to obviously understand the algorithm in order to kind of play against it, and it's a game of cat and mouse. How often are you? Is that an adjustment that you have to constantly monitor multiple times a week or year, a day? What's the? How often are we looking and reevaluating that kind of strategy?
Yeah. So this one is just once. So it's just a principle you put once, and what you will be adjusting is your uh, product placement, like your product bids, sorry, for your product campaigns, depending on how well you are performing on a specific competitor product page. Depending on that, you will be adjusting the bids. This is what the tools are doing, or what PPC managers are doing, based on, like, on each keyword or product you are targeting. You just adjust bids. The only thing that you will need to adjust, it's more this a higher level bid at competitor ASIN level, depending on the target you want to reach, not the placement thing. So the placement thing, you do it once with a multiplier of 5, let's say. It should, in M19 we are doing a multiplier between 3 and 5, and it's cutting all the cost on search placements for product targeting campaigns.
So it's a pretty significant lift in terms of like profitability, but
Yeah.
also just optimized in terms of like oversaturated spend and campaigns that don't really do anything to you. Like you said, it's really cutting off the fat and making it work for you. Very cool. So Tarik, I have a couple of other things that really come to mind in terms of trends or kind of maybe more actionable tips that based on trends that you're starting to see people adjust with, especially with in 2021. Was there kind of this like this not just a trend, but there a movement or just this actionable as costs are going up, as more placements are becoming available, as more people are putting more money into um, campaigns and whatnot? Is there something that you kind of saw between the cracks that have allowed trends to kind of you see the trends, but you're able to fight the trends or kind of subvert them, if you will, of to stand out instead of fighting people with just big pocketbooks or big, budgets, and you're able for the small or medium sized person with a limited budget. How are they able to fight those trends or or even take advantage of those trends in order to kind of like grow their business in this year?
Yeah. So something that is very known now, and by the way, there was a great article that was written there. I can share after the link. The main trend that we saw is CPC increase over the last 2 years. There's a lot of literature around that. And on some categories and some regions, even the overall or average ACOS did increase. Not on all the categories. So this depending on the category and the country, we didn't see an increase of the average ACOS everywhere. Um, One reason of this CPC or advertising cost increase is, of course, competition. The more competitors we have on the market, the higher the cost it is, because it's a second price auction on the Amazon advertising side. So the more people that are bidding, the higher the second price will be, because it's the first higher price that will win, and he will be paying the second price, the guy just below him. The more people you have, the in average higher will be this second price that is paid. And the other main reason that already you mentioned is the fact that there are more and more placements that are sponsored. So you have to pay to be there, and if you don't pay, you can see your sales dropping. So it's pushing people to invest if they want to stay in the game. So it's another explanation of why competition and more people are paying more in PPC. And the third thing is Amazon is releasing more and more targeting features and ad formats to cover more space. So now you have sponsored brand video, you have some sponsored display placement on the product page, you have the editorial, by the way, that are almost paid now, because there are some agencies or services where you
Affiliate
kind
marketing and things like that.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, where you are paying for it. And also on the targeting side, you have, even inside the display or even inside sponsored brand, you have more ways of doing targeting. So you can do, for example, on sponsored brand, you can do product targeting, you can do category targeting, you can do start-based targeting. You have way more and more ways to target, and the more ways you have to do targeting for the same traffic, because at the end of the day, it's one user, one search term. The more different ways you have to target it, the more you will end up on what I described earlier about this search term isolation principle, because you will be like creating artificial competition. So the workaround is, of course, you need to use most of it, all these targetings, because it gives you more control. whenever you have a more granular control, the more you will be accurate in terms of estimating what is your return on ad spend, because the more granular we get, the more we will know how much exactly we can pay in order to reach our goal. But if you do it wrong, you will end up just overbidding inside your the same account.
You're almost double paying for the same thing, right? Like,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
incorrect.
yeah, exactly. So with this trend, the key thing is you need to play the game. You need to use all these new targeting types, ad format, but you need to make it, the whole thing, coherent in a way that guarantees a structure that is safe in terms of bidding. And the other thing is we need to also, whenever there is a new format or a new especially the formats, there is some time and some you have some credit doing it the first, or for the first months or years. So you need to be fast also, roll out in your strategy or put in place the strategy in order to use these new formats. For example, sponsored brand video, now it's not very new, but and we saw it on our numbers. So we see, like 1 year ago, the share of our customers that were using it and what was the performance, and we saw a correlation between adoption, for example, of new format or advanced format, and how well they do and how they grow. So usually the best brands and sellers are really early adopters of new formats, and early creating strategies that are using these new formats.
Well, it's very fascinating that you say that. The I never thought about it in the context of, like you said, the two formats of whether it be sponsored display or video or anything like that. You are fighting over the same customer, but that I always think in terms of when you're bidding and I see the same brand in multiple ways on the same page. How is that how is that going to be effective in terms of the cost? Obviously, it's showing up across the board, but again, you're fighting for that same person. So, is there a way to determine which ad type goes with each campaign best in terms of, and maybe like throttling back on other campaigns that might have that same search function or show, but just doesn't have the better click through rate? Is that what M19 helps you understand in that regards?
Yeah. So it's exactly that, depending on how well, because you might see some effects of not at ASIN level, but more at search term level. For some specific search term, for a reason I ignore, some formats are performing better than other formats. Let's say for the same ASIN, for the same product, for some specific search terms, you have a video campaign or a video strategy that is working well or better than the sponsored product placement. And a good tool is detecting these internal trends for even the same ASIN. So for search terms that are performing well for sponsored brand video, it will be investing more because it's performing well, and decreasing on sponsored product. And the other way around, between sponsored product and sponsored brand, on the other set of search terms for the same ASIN. But overall, it always like come back to the same principle of, at each search term, for each specific ASIN, for each ad format, you just compute how well you are performing, depending on, based on the targets you put in place. So this is the main principle that great tools or great PPC managers are applying. An ASIN, search term, ad format, how this three things are performing depending on your strategy, either ranking, profitability, ACOS, or whatever. And based on that, adjustments are done daily, or when it's a human that is doing it, weekly or monthly or whatever.
Terry, I obviously we're going through, and I'm just like taking notes. I'm just absorbing everything, and I know a lot of people are taking notes. Is there, I'm going to go the opposite route. Is there a time when machine learning or AI doesn't make sense for automation or optimization? Is it specific to category? Is it specific to product type where it just doesn't make sense for something like the robust system that you guys put in place? Doesn't make sense for that?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There are some cases where we even tell the customers, "Hey guys,
Please
we
don't
don't,
use us.
yeah, we don't think that it's a good fit." Uh,
You will be wasting your money with us probably.
yes, yeah. Um, Machine learning is just using past data to estimate what might be the output in the future. It's as simple as that. The less
Mhm.
data you have at the level on which you want to take actions, the less accurate you will be. So, for example, sellers that have very large catalogs, like hundreds of thousands of SKUs, and for each ASIN, they have a long list of keywords. So it's very niche. Even if they are making a lot of money and sales on this account, uh, machine learning can is not adapted for these type of accounts because search term ASIN level optimization won't be working fine, but they might need a software more for the automation piece of creating this thousands or millions of ad groups and campaigns in a very structured way and a controlled way and an efficient way with an optimization that is at a higher level, that is at, let's say, niche level or category level, that can make sense, but the bidding will be kind of in average. It's not the real machine learning that will be working there.
Yeah.
It's more an average in machine learning. Like it's machine learning algorithms that is
You're creating
behind it.
the SOP, if you will, or you're creating the format instead of the bidding, if you will. Like
Yeah,
it's more of
exactly,
time efficiencies in that regards. That makes a lot more
exactly.
sense. Yeah. So
Yeah,
at scale, to have one person copy paste, implement, execute, anything like that. This is more of a time saving thing, and as people grow, like you said, they have catalogs of tens of thousands of SKUs that they can, well, we're big on time and money saving components. That's a big time and saving money saving component. So with that being said, is it we're a big international company at PingPong. We, across multiple marketplaces. I know you're in France, obviously a lot of sellers sell in the United States. How does machine learning help understand on a cultural or a localization level, if you will, of different search terms, comparing it across different marketplaces? How does that work with M19, or what should people, as they grow their businesses or grow their companies internationally, how should they take a look at different search terms and optimizations in that regards?
yeah. So the cool thing with machine learning, so it's using like mathematic language. So each language agnostic. So whenever you have something working on a language, it it will work on other languages as long as it's not like speech recognition. Like this area of machine learning, it's language agnostic. So usually advertising algorithms, they don't rely on language processing. So we don't care. We do operate like machine learning software are does operate any language. The only requirement is that Amazon is providing an API because they need to crunch a lot of data in a very frequent
Hmm.
way and should be very fast. Whenever there's an API for a specific country, um, any machine learning, real machine learning software should be able to manage it. And we have we had a funny story of because with a Japanese agency that is working with us, that is using the software. Um, because in the beginning we were only operating a couple of Japanese accounts that were owned or held by non-Japanese speaking people. So they just opened Japan, they activated M19 on it, and it was working, optimizing, like getting some sales there. And when we had this agency on board that is Japanese and getting local brands and sellers, we figured out that in fact in our parsing of data, we were our parsing was not robust to some specific characters of Japanese. So
Yep.
it's like if we were merging some letters in English, and we are considering A, E, and I as one
One,
one
yeah, one
one,
syllable.
yeah, one syllable. Uh, Machine learning doesn't care. It will be just grouping different variation uh,
It
of
could be
words.
misspelled. It could be a lot of different things, like you said. Yeah, it could be a lot,
Exactly.
and they're just grouping them together. Person that I've had on the podcast, and I call everyone who makes it through an episode a friend of the show. Ritu Yava, she of Amazon or PPC Ninja. She's one of the best people in that space that I just picked the brain of, and I just remember talking with her. This is episode 30, I think, of just learning and understanding PPC in Japan, and like you said, four
Yeah.
different kind of variations of language, localization, characters. It was so fascinating. I think it's probably one of the more like intriguing realizations that I've had on this podcast, and a lot of people don't realize is localization on different levels. Like you said, of even if we're talking about United States versus England, different things mean certain words mean different things, and they have to be translated, and they're not searched in that way. Same
Mhm.
thing when I tell people about search on Google versus search on Amazon. Probably searching for different functionalities or at different points in the purchase um, funnel, but they're not searching like best, like you said, refrigerator or stuff like that. You might be doing that
Yeah.
on Amazon, but you're not doing that on you're not doing that on Amazon, you're doing that on Google, not on Amazon. So all these different characterizations, words and phrasing, it kind of depends. And I think machine learning, what's so fascinating is that it helps you understand just at a grandiose scale of what in fact people are searching for. And even in different countries or different languages, if they're even putting in the search bar different languages, even though they might be in the US market, Latin American usage of using Spanish in their search phrasing or anything like that, where it really, I'm assuming M19 or machine learning could really just help you robustly understand, okay, this is my customer subset, this is what they want, this is the path in order to get my product in front of them. Is that ultimately the simplistic way to say why you guys are doing what you're doing?
Yeah, exactly. And you are really you were focusing on something that we discussed for long hours internally. And since we are managing all this complexity in an automated way behind the scene, we were frustrated not uh, that our customers or users don't see it. So what we end up doing is we built an interface and a tool that, by the way, is free, and anyone can go connect on M19 and use this great tool in order to help see and check. We call it search trends on each specific country. You just select the country, and you can input the phrase or the search term, and it gives you its popularity over time, and you can compare it to other phrasing. And this data is 100% accurate. It's just coming from brand analytics report, and that is grouped, like that is like we are using like 2 years of daily data and presenting it in a way that people can check and explore how trends are evolving and how phrasing is important between different variations of a specific keyword that they are working on. And we are providing it as a free, like as a tool for our customer, and also as free for the community, for anyone that wants to know like search term trends on Amazon, since it's very different from other areas like what you said, Google.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and here's the thing too. It's constantly changing. This is
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
a set. Like a river. It's constantly flowing. There's things that change all the time. Depends on. You can do trends. You can capitalize on. If you have different variations of products and things like that. Or just different customers want the product in a different way. If again, all these externalized factors where it might be popular in one section, but not in another. Seasonality, just all these things that you constantly have to have your thumb on. But it's a thousand thumbs that you need to in order to plug all those holes. Tarik, in the last couple of minutes, I know, and I put the link in the bottom. If you guys want to learn more about M19, of course, it's pretty simple website, pretty easy compared to some of the other websites we found on here. M19.com. By the way, M19. Give me the behind the scenes. What came? How did we come up with the name / number of the company?
Yeah, it's coming from Magellan.
Okay,
50.
Explorer.
Yeah, the Explorer.
Okay,
And so the
when you
idea
were
is,
founded, I'm assuming
yeah,
2019.
yes,
Look at that. We
yeah,
got there.
yeah. So the
I like
idea
that.
is just Magellan is an explorer. He's taking brands from one region to another. So with M19, you can operate all over the world. It can help you grow internationally on Amazon and tomorrow on other marketplaces, because we are planning to expand to other marketplaces and other advertising platforms.
I was gonna say, so my final kind of follow up. I always want to know like what's on the roadmap for 2022. A lot of people we just are kind of in the last week of the first quarter, kind of for PPC agencies and softwares like you guys. Things were a little bit slow coming out of Q4. I know things pick up generally coming into Q2, Q3 when I believe Q2 will have Prime Day is what it
Yeah.
looks like, July. So that's kind of gearing up. What's kind of that roadmap for you and the team? You're in France. You are operating in France as well as the United States. Is there other marketplaces that we haven't touched on that you're operating on, or is that the roadmap, if you will?
Yeah. So the high level roadmap is we want today we are doing PPC using PPC data, profit data, because we are also providing a small profit analytics tool next to our PPC management dashboards in order to make margin based optimization. We are also providing, by the way, a free also inventory monitoring tool, because we need it to ease PPC management based on inventory level. And we want to link all this, like pricing, inventory, profit margin, and your PPC data, to have the best advertising in place. This is the first step. The next is to plug in it also rankings like organic and sponsored. So this is also on our roadmap, to be able to have this loop of everything relevant for an advanced PPC manager or expert, to have it in one place, and even in a semi-automated way, so as he can create the best strategies based on not only inventory, profit margins, and PPC data, but also based on rankings.
I love that.
So
Well, very cool. You guys have a lot coming up, it sounds like, and I think that's the exciting thing.
yeah,
How big is the M9 team? It's less than 20, am I assuming?
yes, we
Oh.
are less than 20, but we are hiring a lot. So by the way, if in the listeners there's a
If you know anyone, everyone.
yeah, you know, it's mainly for sales and marketing areas that we need some support, because we are not doing any sales and marketing yet. It's just word of mouth, and it's doing great, but we are thinking of going like louder now that we have something very robust that our customers love. Yeah, we are building this sales and marketing team. So if anyone interested in joining a startup,
Check them
growing,
out.
yeah,
Yeah, well, I love that, man. Hey, fantastic story. I should have read your website and about us because it's all over about Magellan. So that's my fault. That was the one website or the thing I don't do. I like coming in fresh. I like to hear from the perspective of the co-founders and the owners before I just assume something. But hey, amazing story. I think what you guys are doing is fantastic. You're on a lot of other friends' podcasts too. So definitely check them out on Orange Click. I know there's a lot of ones that you're doing like demos on, so I'm only assuming that it's you have a team ready to kind of help people take them to the next level and help them out in PPC. So congratulations on all the success, and well, I'm assuming we'll have you on again in the future. Like I said before, now you're a friend of the show. So how do people get in touch with you, Tarik, if they wanted to?
yeah, they can contact me directly. Tarik at M19.com. I'm always open to discuss any Amazon topic if I can help on any area, and sometimes just making like chat about e-commerce topic. Always glad to do so.
I love that. Well, thanks so much for hopping on Crossover Commerce today. And like I said, now for another show, we'll have you on again. And in the future, if there's something of note, we'll make sure we get you on here and talk about it here on another episode of Crossover Commerce. But thanks for hopping on today, for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, no
Thanks a
problem.
lot, Ryan. Thanks.
And thank you everyone else for coming on Crossover Commerce today, spending a little bit of time in my corner of the internet. Again, we're back with, this was episode 228. We have a great, fantastic lineup. A lot of friends of the show are coming back on, and just new people. Just kind of give a little bit of a quick run through. We have the great duo over at Novaland, Francois and Lisa. Also have a podcast. They're going to be talking about the current state of logistic affairs. We're also going to recap a little bit of Prosper because they were panelists there. We're going to also talk with new connection met with at Prosper, actually, believe it or not. Laura Meyer of Envision Horizons, her and her brand, or her and her agency, I should say, are helping people, successful beauty brands, help other businesses understand what beauty brands are doing and help them kind of correlate and grow from there. But just a lot of exciting stuff. I'm really excited to have new people on the show, friends of the show come back on. But of course, this is what I love to do. So if you're new, go ahead and subscribe to our channels or follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter, or you can follow myself, Ryan Kramer, and all of our social channels. Pretty easy to find me. But of course, go ahead and check out all past episodes of Crossover Commerce on usa.pingpongx.com/podcast. Both video and audio versions are on your favorite platforms. Just give us a thumbs up and you won't regret all the great content that comes from here. We do it consistently. I tell people we did about once every 2 days last year. So we are trucking along often. So go ahead, subscribe to our channels. We appreciate you tuning in just for a little bit of your time here today. It's a busy time as an entrepreneur, but thank you so much for listening to another episode of Crossover Commerce. And we will catch you guys next time on another episode. Take care.